Welcome to our Gran Turismo 7 Specialtatin. Today we're featuring another attempt at the Group 3s at Deep Forest, and well, this time around I had a bit more practice and I understand the pit strategy, so maybe, just maybe it'll go my way. That didn't not go my way, I guess, but I will say the direct capture skipped, and that definitely didn't. If I catch up to that Porsche ahead, I'll do eye for an eye. Granted, given I'm legally blind, my eyes ain't exactly worth as much, but ultimately that means a tap enough to get past. I'll put it that way. Doesn't necessarily mean I can catch up, but did y'all see what happened in the back there? What happened in the back there is actually worse than what happened to me, so that meant a bunch of laps of just nothing. Remember how the last video was all then nothing? Well, this is kind of just slight bit then nothing for a while. I wouldn't exactly say while and a half, but well, let's see what happens, folks. Now it's looking like there's going to be some actual racing, and so far, looking clean. Can't really complain. Wouldn't exactly say I have a whole heck of a heap of space, but it's not really dirty, so I'll take it. I sort of kind of just let that car go, but I mean, given I'm on the outside and the Viper, while the meta car for this event, still not that absolute dandiest handling, whatever. Early enough in the race to let him go, not that big of a deal, because theoretically I can catch back up in the draft. The Viper has the best acceleration, and higher speeds, I guess. And as I've always said, the Viper has good brake. That was not at all meant to be a dive bomb, but I mean, I was clearly clean there. I had the inside, I went for it, I stayed on the apex. The other car sweeped into me a bit. So hopefully the Ford GT ain't really counting that as dirty, because that was just genuinely unexpected. I completely stayed on the inside there, and the GT just messed up slightly, so we'll see how that goes. Speaking of messing up slightly, a car is going to go through me and get spun by the Ford GT. Put it this way, how I mentioned eye for an eye. Well, that's more than an eye. I would call that a head, maybe? I need to get ahead of a few cars, though, to get to the GT. So, yeah, that's not the best look. But honestly, not the end of the world. It could have been worse for me, but yeah, I want to try and make it worse for the GT. Well, that was that, folks. And well, this is now back a few more laps later, and I'm catching cars in front that I should have never had in front. So, because that Viper is still pretty close and did nothing wrong, and I'm catching cars ahead that I should have never had to have caught in the first place, might as well pit there in a pretty good strategy. So hopefully that ends up working out. It worked out so well, I caught up to the Ford GT in pit strategy. So, yeah. Again, the direct capture skipping, can't do anything about that. But I will also say this is because there's a car pretty picking close behind. While I definitely do want to wreck the GT, I don't want to wreck myself. I mean, that kind of goes for all racing. The first rule of dirty racing is don't wreck yourself. But I mean, especially I don't even want to slow myself down, because the car behind me is even closer behind me than the GT. So yeah, this first turn has been chaotic like every picking time. I'm beginning to think that Viper just ain't particularly good at the first turn. I don't know if I call that outright dirty, because remember early in the race was just outright missing it completely. But it ain't missing the Ford GT. It slowed it down a fair bit. So salute to the Viper. Maybe not the most talented driver, most consistent or whatever, but it gave the GT somewhat of what's coming to it. This is a complete reverse situation of what it was a few laps ago, where I mess up a bit, honestly, but then the GT drives into me. again, luckily, now with the Viper's straight line speed and higher speed sections, as I was saying before, I can actually get away. Y'all might hear my cat in the background. I've said that in previous videos. My cat is running around. There's a pretty decent chance my dog will bark at the cat for running around. But anyway, last lap, so we need to focus on the race. Luckily, the GT stayed behind, but if I can pass the Viper, that would be preferred. I'll try and do it clean, but that doesn't necessarily mean the other car is going to be clean. A little bit of sweeping. I'd even dare say sucking at driving, but if I don't get shook and book, it's not that big of a. I got sort of kind of shook and book there. Yeah, that wasn't the best exit. I mean, I figured being on the outside I'd get a run. Well, my race didn't get completely ran into the ground by GT, so I mean, I'll take this as yeehaw. Finish higher than GT. Viper had a pretty good fight. All in all, yeehaw.